Hi, I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics, I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, we're talking about She-Hulk by Dan Slott, Omnibus. I should just come out and say at the beginning, She-Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel Comics characters. I think that this run is one of the reasons why. I think she is one of the most original and distinct voices in Marvel Comics. And I think what I love is that she's such a distinct character, and I just adore her. That being said, this omnibus originally sold out, and it's been something I've wanted to read for a long time. So I finally got the second printing, but I was just reading it on Marvel Unlimited for a long time because I really wanted to read this run. You guys know how I feel about Dan Slott. He's one of my favorite writers of all time, so huge fan. So glad this came out. I knew I had to read it, so this Omni collects She-Hulk from 2004-2005, issues number 1 through 12. Then She-Hulk from 2005-2009, issues number 1 through 21, plus whatever annuals, tie-ins, etc. This run also, it's really important to say, it served as the main influence for the Disney Plus series, the She-Hulk series. Dan Slott talks about this story being a take on Ally McBeal and lawyer shows, but for superheroes. And that was his pitch when he made it. This story is broadly about Jennifer Walters being She-Hulk and practicing superhuman law. And all of the really shenanigans that come with that. Genuinely, for accessibility, I think that anyone can pick up this story and read it. I know because I hadn't read She-Hulk before this, and I felt totally comfortable, totally ready to go to pick this up and read it. It is affected by some events, so especially at this time in Marvel, like 2004 through like 2009, it was like the Bendis era Avengers and all of those things going on. So here are the events that affected it. Avengers Disassembled, Civil War, Planet Hulk. I'd say World War Hulk also affected this. But for the most part, this is a series that flies under the radar because it's not such a massive sensational series at the time that's like affecting all of the others. It is briefly affected by that, by those events happening around it, but it flies under the radar and mostly does its own thing. This is the first appearance of Glk&H, which stands for Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway. Named, here's my fun fact, I love this, and I kind of knew it as I read it. Named after Marvel Comics royalty, Martin Goodman, founder of Marvel Comics, Stanley Lieber, also known as Stan Lee, Jacob Kurtzberg, Jack Kirby, and then I'm assuming it's Ray Holloway, who is a very famous Marvel editor. That's the one I don't know, but whatever. Now, when it comes to the story, there are the main characters are Jen Walters as She-Hulk, obviously. You see a lot of Titania. You see Pug, Dennis Pugliese, who's, and you see these characters in the show too. Mallory Hart, who's a really great lawyer at Glk&H. John Jameson, and then there's another character who I had just met in this series, which is Amazing Andy. Now, for the major arcs in this run, there's a run of Spider-Man in Court, one of my favorite issues of all time. Yeah, over Spider-Man in Court is She-Hulk number 4. I just don't want to skip over that. It is one of the best single issues of Marvel Comics I've ever read, with some of the like belly laughing moments. It's just awesome. She is defending Spider-Man against J. Jonah Jameson. Amazing. Then eventually Jen gets married to John Jameson. He is Jonah's son, who is an astronaut, and he becomes a space wolf, pretty much. That's what happens. It's like from the 70s, 80s comics. John Jameson becomes a werewolf, which is like kind of cool, but weird. It doesn't happen in this one, but it's like, I guess they've had a previous relationship or they're still falling in love. It's really, there's a really good arc there. Then there's another one with Starfox. Starfox, brother to Thanos, where Jen and him, hook up and all the ramifications of that. Now, I like that one. But there's some stuff with the Starfox. It's actually kind of a big overarching arc that affects a lot of the peripheral characters. Pug's relationship with Jen, Jen's relationship with John, actually Amazing Andy, this robot that was created by the Mad Thinker. If he's in love with Mallory Hart, and their relationship and stuff. So again, a lot of things going on over there. And then there's ramifications of World War Hulk or Avengers Disassembled, where, in Avengers Disassembled, Jen like rages out and like rips the Vision in half. And so she's kind of like, what happened to me? I've never been the one. She's always been able to be conscientious of her anger. And so her acting like Bruce while in a Hulk state is something, we're not used to. But it was just kind of super crazy, and, her kind of coping with those identities. And then there's an arc where she becomes an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is interesting because it's post-Civil War, and I guess she's a superhero that decides to go along with the superhero registration. And she in this book, and it's in her world, everyone knows that Jen Walters is She-Hulk. But I think that arc was brief, and, it doesn't last long because she eventually will find out what Tony Stark and the Illuminati have done to her cousin Bruce, which is the events of Planet Hulk. If you guys know how Planet Hulk starts, it has to do with the Illuminati putting Hulk on a rocket and just shooting him out into space. So, yes, a lot of those character dynamics in play in this volume. But I'd say like the most important story arc that we see in this, and I'm not going to go super deep into these because I think this is top tier necessary Marvel comic reading. Hard stop. I think everyone should be reading this. And I'm so bummed that it goes to show how popular it was by how fast it sold out, right? But overarching, the biggest thing that's going on in this series is who is Jennifer Walters and who is She-Hulk? Because Jen doesn't feel, or this is Jen, this is She-Hulk. Jen doesn't feel like she can, like anybody loves Jen for Jen. They love She-Hulk. And she feels like she has a lot less, limitations when she's She-Hulk, and she can just live her life as she wishes. But nobody likes Jen. And so that has been a really major arc in this whole thing. She becomes also like the superhuman law gets really crazy because she goes into the freaking celestial law, which was crazy too. Yeah, and then there's the whole arc with Thanos. Yes, a She-Hulk Thanos arc. Crazy, but overall, I really enjoyed the story, and I really liked the interpersonal struggle of Jen grappling with her as She-Hulk and what she wants to be viewed as. She feels safe and comfortable as She-Hulk in the public persona, but not quite as Jen Walters, even though Jen is also they aren't different. Jen is the most worthwhile, There's no She-Hulk without Jen Walters, right? Now, for the art in this book, I'd say there's two major artists. Juan Babio, who starts off the book and has one of the most specific art styles I've ever seen in comic books. It's unapologetic and non-conforming to industry standards. And I mean that in the best way, in the most original way. So I really, really, really adore what Juan Babio, he did that Spider-Man number 4 issue, or She-Hulk number 4 with Spider-Man. It's amazing. It's awesome. Also, I want to major props to Mike Mayhew, and Greg Horn. Did all the covers, most of the covers in this. They're all freaking amazing, so mad props to them. But I loved Juan Babio. He started off the book, and then, they got new artists. I'd say the other main artist is Rick Burchett, and I love Rick Burchett's style. It's much more of a, in-house Marvel style, but I love that in this book. I think it's super solid. I really liked everything he was bringing to the table. He drew some of the key arcs in this story. So this is also, I should say, the first time we ever hear about Reckoning War. So really, really cool, really interesting. Which now brings us to our rating. I give this a 9.1 out of 10. I freaking adored this series. I think when it hits, it really hits. And I think it built so much upon the She-Hulk that we know and love, and provided so much for this character and helped me fall in love with her. So big shout out to Dan Slott. Really enjoyed myself reading this run. It's also not your biggest omnibus in the world. So go check it out. Maybe go pick up the trades. If you see these issues on the stands, pick them up. Really great. My name's Cameron. I just read comics. I love them. Make sure to leave a comment. Tell me if you've read this run. If it's not your favorite She-Hulk run, tell me why. If you have read it and you love it, tell me your favorite issue. Make sure to clobber those like and subscribe buttons. I'll see you next time.